everybody. Welcome to Fearless with Mary. I am your host, Mary Tibbetts, and I am so excited that you are here with me today. On today's episode, we are sitting down with Cindy Richardson, your BFF midlife transformation coach. So grab yourself a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Hi, Cindy. I'm so happy you're on today. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm so excited to be here.
That's awesome. Okay, we are going to dive right in, and I want you to tell the listeners what inspired you to transition from teaching for over 30 years to becoming a life and mindset coach.
Yeah. Very big transition. That was a very, very big transition. I mean, when you do something for 30 years, it's like that is who you are and who I identified as. So really with my students, I taught second grade the last 10 years that I taught. And I really focused with them on mindset, growth mindset versus fixed mindset, confidence, all of that stuff, building a belief in themselves. So a lot of the work that I do now as a coach, I did with my students and not even realizing it. But as I was getting closer and closer to retirement, I knew I was young enough that I wanted to continue doing something with my life and not just retire and do nothing. I wanted to continue to give and serve. So I hired a life coach. And as she was helping me, make a decision like, what are my next steps after retirement? I was just watching her throughout the whole process, and I'm like, this is exactly what I want to do. So from there, I was just taking notes and realizing, like, I can do this. Like, I've done this with my students. I can do this now with adults. And that's what I did. So after I retired, I went and got my certification, did all my training, and just have absolutely loved it. It was like the most aligned next step that I could have taken. So very natural transition for me.
Yeah, I guess it's very similar to teaching.
Yeah.
Really, it is
Yeah.
because you're teaching somebody to have a better mindset and
Right.
be kind to themselves, really,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Right. I mean, I focused obviously on the curriculum, reading, math, writing, all of that stuff, but my passion was helping them build their confidence or teaching them the power like of yet. Like, no, you might not know your math facts yet, but just teaching them those little mindset tricks and tools to believe them in themselves. So that felt good moving from that to coaching.
I find it really interesting just because I don't have little kids. I have teenagers. Well, a teenager and an adult now. Weird.
Yeah.
Um, but I find it interesting how adults, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but I feel like adults have a harder time with
Mm,
changing their mindset than children do. Am I right?
absolutely. You're absolutely right. Well, think about it. I mean, the more time goes on, the more you're kind of programmed into a certain way of thinking. And that's with the women that I coach. It's almost like we have to peel back those layers and like let's really take a look at how you've been thinking, what your beliefs are. I mean, your beliefs are just thoughts that you've practiced thinking over and over. So if you want new beliefs or if you want to shift how you're looking at something, you just have to practice new thoughts. And that sounds very simple, but it is a strategy and a practice that can change your life. That's why I'm so passionate about mindset work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I we're
Yeah.
on the same page when it comes to that
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
So, okay, so how has your own midlife experience shaped the work that you do with your clients? Because
Hmm.
you're the midlife
Midlife.
lady.
Midlife.
So,
Midlife on. Yeah, I am. And usually, by midlife, we've seen and had experiences in our lives that have shaped us, and we all have these experiences. I had two in particular that really were big ones for me. My number one was my divorce, and I could go, and anyone could go down the victim route and like, hey, this isn't fair. I don't like this, and just kind of getting sucked into that way of thinking. But as I was going through it, I had three children, I'm like, I have to figure this out. I have to shift how I'm looking at this so I can move forward and feel good and empowered and confident again. So that really triggered my work with mindset, my all my diving into and research into mindset work, and then also the passing of my mom. And she had bipolar and had mental illness her whole life, and actually about 13 years ago took her life. And that kind of sent me down this whole spiral of I really need and have a desire to not only work on myself, but be a model for my kids, that if something goes on in your life, maybe tragic or not, you have the power to change how you think about it and look at it so that you can move forward. So all those two really big things set me on this path of personal development, and I really went down that route of focusing on my mindset and what I can do in my life to shape it and move forward in a way that felt good for me, instead of being a victim, instead of feeling like whatever is happening is going to keep me stuck. I'm like, no, I want to figure out how to move forward. So those two big things were key, and really my mental health and my mental well-being. So
Yeah, I feel like if you have a strong mental mindset, like positive mental mindset, it just makes things easier. Even if
yeah,
it's the worst day on the face of the planet,
yeah,
because we've all had them,
yeah,
if you can spin it and turn it, like I know for me, I journal every night. And my very first prompt that I have is what were 3 wins from today. So even if it was the worst day on the face of the planet, I have to find 3 wins for the
that's
day
right.
and just practice gratitude for
Yep.
those 3 wins.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I find if I don't journal, if I'm really tired and I go to bed and I don't
Mhm.
journal before bed, the next day when I wake up, I'm really kind of poopy.
Yeah,
Like
it's true. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is
Yep.
the world is ending today.
Yeah. Right, right. And it's a practice. It's a practice to keep that up and keep in that mindset. And of course you're going to slip off. And of course you're going to like, maybe not focus on what you're grateful for, but just hopping back on, knowing it's a practice, and then just picking yourself back up.
Yeah,
It's
and you have to
important.
be kind to yourself
Mm.
100% when you do
Yeah,
fall off,
that's true.
right? Because,
Yeah. Giving yourself grace.
oh
Yeah.
man, because I know a lot of people don't. I'm guilty
Mhm.
of it. I'm sure you're guilty of it
Of
when it
course.
comes to stuff. So I
Of course.
100%, a
Yeah.
100%. So what would be the most common challenge that you find your midlife clients face?
Yeah, I think given the fact that we're at this stage of life in midlife and there are things that happen and can throw you off, really I what I see with women is confidence, and just building the confidence back up that you have the power to create your life from here on out in whatever way that you want. So I really do a lot of the mindset work. I love a couple quotes that I love. One is by Henry Ford: whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. So you're completely in charge of how, you look at things and what you believe. And another one is change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. And that's by Wayne Dyer. And it's all about empowering women to take charge of their life. So what I really help them think about and work on is their confidence and belief in themselves. So we take a look at where they are right now, what they're thinking and feeling about themselves, and then how can we shift it just a little bit? Because I do mindset work under the kind of the formula of your circumstances in your life create your thoughts. Your circumstances in your life are neither good nor bad. It's just whatever you think about them. You put meaning to them. So your circumstances create your thoughts. From your thoughts, then that triggers feelings that you have. And then from your feelings, you take action, either good action, bad action, no action. And then from there you get the results in your life. So I kind of created this shift formula for my clients where they really see their circumstances. So the S is see their circumstances for what they are, just the facts in their life. And then the H is harnessing their thoughts. Like, what am I really thinking about this? Like, what am I making this mean? That's a question that I ask my clients a lot. Like, what are you making this mean, this situation mean? And then from there, we identify the feelings because our thoughts trigger our feelings. And then when we feel a certain way, then we generate our actions. So if we want to move forward in our life, we have to change our actions. But if we're not in a good feeling place, we're not going to take good action. And then from there, we transform. The T is transforming our results in our life. So that's kind of the process I take women through to help them feel more empowered and build their confidence.
So how did you come up with that strategy?
I've heard a lot of mindset work and I've studied a lot of mindset work around, your circumstances create your thoughts, feelings, actions, and results. So that is something in the mindset world that's out there. And then I created this shift method as just a way to help my clients, memorize it and figure it out and actually do the work themselves. Because once I teach them this tool, it's like you can use this tool. Like if you're in a particular day, if you're noticing you feel a certain way, like you're feeling frustrated or you're feeling upset, as women, we can identify our feelings pretty quickly. So you're feeling a certain way. And then you ask yourself, what am I thinking? What am I thinking to feel this way? That's a little bit harder to identify. But once we identify what we're thinking, it's like, oh, yeah, of course I feel bad. I'm thinking this is so stupid, or this day is, or like this person's driving me crazy, or whatever it is that we're thinking is causing those feelings. And if we can shift our thinking just a little bit, we feel better. We can feel relief. And then we move forward in a different way. So
Yeah.
it's a whole process.
It is a process. I know. And it's, pardon me. I read the Mel Robbins Let Them theory.
Yeah.
It's a great book. It is.
Yeah.
And I totally see where she's coming. Just let
Yeah.
them deal with that. It's not always that easy.
It's not.
Like you
It's
need
not.
to actually, sometimes you need to really just go and stand in the closet at work or in the lunchroom by yourself or go to the washroom or something and then just have a conversation with yourself
Yeah.
and be like,
Yeah.
okay, just let's think about why I'm feeling like this right
Yeah.
now. Instead
Yeah.
of, because it's very easy to say, well, let them. And I do
Mhm.
that before I even read the book.
Yeah.
But it it takes a lot of work to actually get there.
Yeah. It
Right.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's nice because you actually teach people
Yes.
how to get to that point, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
just by shifting just your thoughts just a little bit to something that feels a little bit better, you're going to take a little bit better action and then your results are going to be better. So it's a whole process that then makes you feel empowered because the more you do the work and the more you realize, oh, I'm in charge of the results in my life. I am in charge of my actions. And all of this comes down to my thinking. And even though a circumstance happens and we can name it as bad or be like, oh, well, of course, that's a terrible circumstance, it's really how we think about it that triggers everything. So getting into that thought work and really digging in there and shifting a little bit, that's where all the work is.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting. My husband actually had said this to me because somebody said it to him or something. It's it's interesting because I live by it, kind of.
Mm.
Um, but somebody had said to him, or I can't remember how it happened, but the saying goes, my day or that person's day, my problem and how I feel about it is literally a sliver of their day
Yeah,
or a sliver of my day.
right,
So they don't, at the end of the day, really care what
right,
you're feeling about it or what
right.
you're thinking about it. So you need to actually care and feel it
Yeah,
and get through it because they're not there to take it on for you.
right,
Right.
right.
So if you think of it that way, you're like,
Yeah,
oh, I'm getting cranky and miserable about this, but they forgot about it
Yeah.
15 minutes ago, but I'm carrying it around with me. So I need to
Right.
just let this go.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
exactly. It's all about perspective work. Like, it's like the truth is like this ball, and I'm looking at it from one perspective, and you're looking at it from another, and it all can be true, but you're just seeing something different, or you totally forgot to look. You're gone and not even looking at the ball. It's
Yeah.
like it's like realizing that the other person, whether it's your truth or not, the other person might not even be in the same, way of thinking or even focusing on it anymore, and just kind of letting that go and being okay with that.
And being okay with it. And it's
Yeah.
hard.
It's hard.
It is hard because
It is really hard.
I have carried stuff around for days and then I'll message a friend and just say,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry for saying what I said
Yeah.
because I'm the queen of sticking my foot in my mouth. And they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I get inside my own head. And then
Yeah.
then I start, oh my goodness, why
Yeah.
did I say that? Oh my goodness, are we still going to be friends? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Right.
And it's like,
Right.
why? At
Yeah.
the end of the day,
Yeah.
they didn't like it. That's on them. And I can't change what came out of my mouth.
Right. Right.
So,
You can only have a conversation about it, and
yeah,
then go
right?
from there.
And
Right.
go from there. And half the
Yeah.
time, they don't even remember what I said.
Well, it's so interesting that you bring that up, because it's like we can create, I think, especially as women, we can create this whole story around a circumstance, and it might not even be true at all. I'll give you the strangest example. When I shifted from teaching to coaching, to me, it felt like it was a big leap. It felt like, I was in a school with elementary 7-year olds. Like, I was in my safe little space. And then I moved to having to put myself out there on social media, and then like presenting and doing things and selling and all the things, coaching, of course. But in my mind, I thought, for some reason, whenever I would post on social media, I always thought of a particular teacher at my school who I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to think I'm crazy. She's going to be judging me. I don't know why I picked this one particular teacher. But I created this whole story that always made me hesitant when I was putting things out there. Well, come to find out, about a year later, I did a workshop at the school that I taught at. After the workshop, she was like, "That's so amazing. I'm going to refer my friend. She needs to, hear what you have to say, and she needs to work with you." And I created this whole story around nothing. And it just goes to show you how your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs can kind of have a life of its own. And unless you kind of learn the strategies to rein them in and ask certain questions, I use these 4 questions from Byron Katie. I don't know if you know her work. She's
No,
amazing. If
I'm
you
going to write that
find
down.
Yeah, if you find a limiting belief or something that's like stopping you, like, I never can do this, or whatever limiting belief is, like, I can't put myself out on social media, or whatever it is, you take it through these 4 questions. So the first one is it true? And you're like, well, I can put myself out there on social media. Then you ask, is it really true? Because sometimes you dig in, you're like, of course it's true. So you ask the second question. And then the third question is, how do you act? How do you behave when you believe this thought? Well, I don't put myself out there. I don't do the things that I want to do. I hesitate. I have lack of confidence. And then the last question is, who would you be without that thought? Who would you be without that thought? And then it opens up the world of possibility. Well, I would be doing the things that I wanted. I wouldn't be filtering myself. I wouldn't second guess myself. I would go for the things that I want. And I feel like her work is super empowering. And it's just 4 questions that you take yourself through when you find a thought or when you find a limiting belief that is holding you back. And I teach that to my clients, and it really helps in the moment.
I'm I wrote all of that down
Yeah.
because I coach. I'm an MS advocate.
Yeah.
I'm working on being an MS advocate, I
I
should
love it.
say.
Yeah.
But it's really funny because I'll go to post something.
Mhm.
I'm so happy that you said that because I'll go to post something and I know I need to post it. Listen, I know
Yeah.
this. I've owned businesses. I know how this works. But at first, I'm getting better with it now. But even sometimes I'm like, but I've only had MS for years, so I don't really
Yeah.
think I should be posting this because somebody who's had it for 20 years, they would know this better. But that's
Mhm.
actually not even remotely true. I
It's
have a
not.
friend who's had MS for a very long time, and I've brought new information,
Right.
and she's been like, huh, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, so then I
Yeah.
am actually doing
Right.
something. But it's crazy because you get in your mind, well, I
Mhm.
haven't had it for 20 years, or I haven't been doing,
Mhm.
and what really am I doing that's advocating? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Sit back and take a look at the
Mm.
last. I learned this, I believe, what book was it? It was, I always reference Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy.
Oh, The Gap in the Gain?
I don't know if it was The Gap in the Gain or if it was 10 times as easier than
Yeah,
two.
10x is
Yeah,
easier than 2x, yeah.
but there's a part in I can't remember which one where they say you have to go back 90 days.
Mm.
You have to
Mhm.
work backwards and actually look at the progress that you have made
Yes, The Gap
over
in
the
the
last
Gain.
90 days. And I use that with I'm a huge believer in that, and I use that with my clients because I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, so
Yeah.
you haven't been working out. You weren't working out.
Mhm.
Now you go to the gym twice a week, and now you're up to doing walking 2.5 kilometers, and then you walk outside around the block. I'm just using it as an example,
Yeah. Yeah.
where you weren't doing anything before, and you've managed to actually lose 5 pounds
Right.
because you have the exercise. So go back and
Mhm.
look at those 90 days and see that you've actually made progress, because I feel like
Mhm.
people as a whole,
Yeah.
especially women, we are really bad at seeing the progress that we've made.
Yeah. Well, we judge ourselves. That book is The Gap in the Gain, and we judge ourselves on the gap where we want to be. So that gap is always there. We're always trying to get to that end point. And most of the time that end point is moving further out, further out, further out. And we're judging ourselves by that, like, oh, I'm not there yet. When instead, you're right, we can look backwards and go, no, wait, look at how far I've come. And then from that, we feel empowered. And then we're like, oh yeah, I have come this far. I'm going to keep going. Because when you only focus on where you're not, then you're always discouraged. So
Yes.
looking backwards helps you feel empowered. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great book. I recommend that book to everyone.
I think I've actually, because I listen to it, I don't read.
Yes.
Well, I read. I don't mean it like that, but I would rather listen to them because when
Yes.
I walk the dog, I walk
It's
5K with the dog. So it's 45 minutes. I get to
yeah.
listen to, I can finish a book in like a few days,
Yeah, it's
right?
awesome.
It's awesome.
Hmm.
So I think I've listened to it a few times
Yeah.
for
So
sure. I
good.
know I'm just re-listening to Be Your Future Self Now
Mm.
by
Okay.
Dr. Benjamin Hardy. It's
Okay, I haven't
amazing.
read that
It's a
one.
great book. Yeah,
Be
it's
your future
actually,
self.
it was the book that came out before 10 times is easier than two times.
Yep.
They came out the same year,
Okay, I'm going
actually.
to get that.
Yeah, it's really good. He's
Love
such
it.
a great writer.
He
He's
is.
just easy to listen to. It's just, they're easy books, and he actually explains
Yeah.
everything in
Well,
it.
and the concepts are simple. They're simple to understand. They're super profound once you actually get what, he's saying. They're super profound, but they're simple things that you can put into action. Like, oh, I can just reflect on maybe if it's a nightly habit before you go to bed, like, oh, what was some wins today? Like how in the last 90 days, what have I really accomplished? It could be just a simple practice like that you're always focusing on your growth, and then that propels even and gets you into that direction of more growth. So yeah.
Do you find, and yeah, I know for me, I find when why are we so hard on ourselves?
Yeah. Well,
Why? Like, do you
because
know?
we've practiced that as women. I think more and more these days where personal growth is out in the forefront. People are talking about it. There's self-development. There's all kinds of things that you can do in that, whole area. But it wasn't like that a long time ago. So, we didn't we didn't have that kind of like, oh, let's change our thinking, let's look at our mindset, let's shift. Instead, it was just like, let's be hard on ourselves. That's how, I mean, there's a whole thing about being hard on yourself, and putting yourself down is going to motivate you. Like coaches, like you think about like sports coaches are like really aggressive. We think like if we coach ourselves that way, if we're hard on ourselves, that's going to help us move forward. But really, it's just keeping us stuck because we're just focusing on the negative and just being hard on ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you said the word stuck.
Mm,
So I'm going to ask the question about being stuck. How do you help women rediscover clarity and purpose when they feel stuck? Because
yeah.
stuck is like the word.
Yeah, it is. And stuck is a bad feeling. It feels bad to be stuck. It's like I'm spinning my wheels. I it kind of use the analogy of like, okay, you have a desire, you have a goal, you want to move forward. Your foot's on the gas. You're doing the things, you're taking the actions. That's amazing. But you also have one foot on the brake. And those are your limiting beliefs. Those are your doubts. Those are your fears. So if you have one foot on the gas and one foot on the brake, you're going to spin out and you're going to stay stuck. So we really take a look at, all right, what is keeping you stuck? And let's figure out those limiting beliefs. Let's figure out those fears that are there, and let's do the work, like those 4 questions. Let's figure out how we can shift that so that you can feel more empowered. Because when we believe those limiting beliefs, then we can't move anywhere, even if we do all the work. I'm like, oh, I'm taking the steps, I'm doing the actions, and I'm still not getting anywhere. That's because we have these fears or doubts that are just holding us back. And that's where the work is. That's what the work that I do with my clients is, really digging in. So I might ask them, to make this a little bit more tangible, I might ask them, okay, let's really define this goal. Like, what is the goal that you want to work towards as we're working together? And we write it out in the words that feel really good to them. And I read it back and I'm like, okay, so here's your goal. On a scale of 1 to 10, what is your belief in that goal? Like right now, what is your belief? And they might be like a 5 or a 6 or whatever it is. And then I ask them a question. I'm like, why did you give it, let's say a 5? Why did you give it a 5, not a 1? And then they tell me all the reasons they believe in it. And I'm like, okay, we're starting with belief. You have some belief in this goal. You told me this, and this. And so I'm helping them see that you already have some belief in this goal. And then I ask, why did you give it a 5, not a 10? And then they tell me all the different reasons. And all of those things are their limiting beliefs and their fears and their doubts. And then we tackle one by one all of those things. Sometimes they're easy to get rid of because all I have to do is say, is that true? Like, is that true? You'll never lose the weight. Is that true? You'll never be, fit and lean like you want. Is that true? And they're like, no, that's not true. So some of them we can wipe out right away. Some of them we have to really dig in and do the work and practice and like prove otherwise. I have them find proof that their belief is not true. So there's a lot of work that can be done there to help them go from being so stuck to like, oh, wait a second. I just have to shift how I think a little bit. I have to look at my beliefs and prove them wrong, and then I can move forward.
So,
So,
what would you say is the number one limiting belief that your clients have? Is
well,
there one? Is there like one particular
yeah.
where you say to them, okay, well, why did you give it a 5, not a 10? And 100% that that is going to come out of their mouth.
Well, a majority of the women, it's this belief. And it's because we're in midlife. So I focus primarily on women in midlife. And it, to some degree or another, it's the thought of it's too late. It's too late. Like, I can't start this now. It's too late for this. Some form of it's too late. It's like I'm past that. I can't do that. That belief is so ingrained that I should have been where I want to be by now. Like, it's come and gone. And I'm like, that is not true. And then I take them through the process of, and I give them an example of when I did this, going through menopause, and you have all these health changes and your body is changing. And I've always been into fitness, and then my body started changing, and I'm like, I do not like this feeling. Like, I don't think I can figure this out. And then I found someone that was a fitness coach. She was a menopause coach, on Instagram. She was exactly my age. And I was like, if she can do it, I can do it. If she can be fit and healthy and feel good going through all the things that I'm going through, I can too. So I call them, with my clients, expanders. Like, find these people who are doing exactly what you want to do at the same age, and prove to yourself that if she can do it, you can do it. And that simple belief right there changes everything. If someone can just latch on to that belief, if she can do it, I can do it, and truly believe that, then you can do anything. So you just have to find those expanders who are doing what you want, and then just use them as your proof until you get the proof for yourself. That's how you
Yeah.
build it. Yeah.
But then you find another expander
Yeah.
because
You keep
that
going.
you just keep going on
Yeah.
it. That's really interesting that that's the number one.
Yeah,
I
it
wouldn't have
is.
guessed that that's what it was.
You wouldn't have guessed?
No, you know why? 'Cause I don't know. I think maybe because that is never one for me,
Yeah.
ever.
Me
Like that
neither.
it's like my husband went back to school when he was 47,
Okay.
50 now.
Okay.
Yeah, he got a university he got his university degree.
Yeah.
Like when he
Yeah.
was 47.
Yeah.
He'd never gone to university before. Like,
Right.
so I always look at I'm like, no, it's why is it too
Yeah.
late? But
Right.
but that's just how I think,
Yes.
right?
And you're in the personal development world. You're in the coaching world. You're in the growth mindset world. So that wouldn't be something that you would probably think. And so many of the women that come to me, they come to me for so many reasons, but they might not have been to coaching yet. And coaching is so goal oriented and forward thinking, where they might not have thought along the mindset of, like, yeah, I can do anything at any time. They very much may have limited themselves, like, oh, I should have done this by now, or oh, it's too late, like I've been raising kids and I can't switch careers, or I've been married so long and now I'm divorced and I can't find someone new. Like, there's that limited thinking that has, kind of driven them for so long, that they feel that they can't move forward at this age. And then we just prove that false, you know?
Yeah.
It's just like, let's take it to court, because this is not true.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have coaching clients all across Canada.
Yeah.
Um, I would love at some point to do like in a in September or something, not this year, but I would love for everybody to come, like us meet halfway and everybody go and us just have like a big party and just celebrate everybody's wins. I
All
just
right.
feel like that would be the most amazing thing on the
Yes.
face of the planet because
Yeah.
I feel like women as a whole don't celebrate themselves enough. It doesn't matter what age you are
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
all. Because
Right.
I have some of the most amazing nieces on the face of the
Mm.
planet. Like, you would be blown away. My one niece has got so many scholarships. She's going to be an RN. She's going to be an RN, but she's thinking of being a nurse practitioner. I don't know. I don't know the whole thing, but
Hmm.
she's actually got so many scholarships. She doesn't actually have to pay for school.
Mm.
My other niece is going to be a teacher. She's
Mm.
amazing. She's almost done. My other niece decided not to go to school, but took courses on how to do marketing. And now she's 20 and has her
Yeah.
own marketing company. And
Yeah.
so I have a floral studio. She did all my website, everything for it. Like, and she was done in like a day.
Yeah.
Do you know how long that would have taken me?
Right. Yeah.
But I just feel like they don't celebrate themselves enough.
Yeah.
Like I look at them, I'm like, you guys are inspirations. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. I don't even think any of us did that when we were
Yeah.
younger.
Right. And they sound so goal oriented and so, like, driven, and that can be dangerous in a sense where it's like, always on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And like you said, not celebrating yourself. That is just something, such a simple thing to teach others. Just be like, celebrate along the way. I mean, I do it every call with my clients. I'm like, let's start with your wins. Like, tell me what, even if they're like, oh, this week has been terrible. I'm like, I'm sure there's a win. I'm sure something went right. Let's talk, let's focus on that. Let's really, that is a value. That is something that we need to like really shine a light on. And then the more you do it, or the more you show your nieces or others, the more they're like, yeah, let's celebrate it. So same with my daughter. Anytime she does something great, I'm like, let's go out. Let's, let's celebrate. Let's make this a big deal, because it is a big deal. And you're right. We don't celebrate these wins enough, but it's just a practice. And once other people can feel like, oh, it feels so good to celebrate, and I'm not like full of myself when I celebrate, it's just something good for me, then the more they do it,
Yeah.
and
I
acknowledge
was
it.
the 100%, I was the, still am, I'm the celebrating mom. Listen, if
Yeah,
you tie your shoe, we're gonna have a
that's
party.
right.
Like, I
That's right.
I was always, I have boys, I don't have girls. But
Yeah.
I always try very hard to celebrate all of their wins,
Yeah.
every single one of them. I think I fell off for a little while because I had stuff going on,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think it's very, 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 very important
It
as
is.
a whole. Like, and like, no, I'm not very good at celebrating my own, but I'm really good at celebrating it for everybody else,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It
So
could be something as simple as, I'm just gonna, as I go to sleep, I'm just gonna reflect back on the good things that happened that day. It could be something as simple as that, you know, writing in the journal in the morning, something like that. Doesn't have to be a big celebration, but just an acknowledgement makes a
yeah.
difference. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just talk about your coaching business for a second. So,
Yeah.
what happens during your midlife clarity call? Like, if somebody was to call you or you set up the meeting with them,
Yeah.
what would that look like for them?
Yeah. Well, with the clarity call, it's really all about where are you right now? So I kind of use the analogy with them. They usually know where they want to be. Like if someone comes, they're like, I want this. I wish I were here. I'm not here. I want to be there. So they know that. But we really focus on, okay, where are you right now? Like what's going on in your life now so that we can come from where you are now to get to where you want to be. I always use the analogy of like a map in a mall. Like you go to that map in the mall and it's like, the store you want to go to. You're like, oh, there's the store. But you can't get to that store unless you know the You Are Here icon. You
Yeah,
can't get there. You can't plan your route. So we have to figure out where you are now. So that's what we do in the clarity call. It's a lot of the work around what thoughts, beliefs, fears, doubts are keeping you stuck. So that's kind of where you are right now. That's kind of been stopping you or holding you in this place. And then, like, what are your goals and dreams? And then I take them through the process of here's how we're going to get there. We don't actually have the plan in the clarity call, but knowing that in our coaching together, we're going to get from right where you are now to where you want to be. So that's really what I do with them in that clarity call.
and then how long is it?
It's usually about 45 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so if someone's never worked with a coach before, what should they expect working with a coach? I know for me, I give
Yeah.
homework. I'm like,
Yeah.
you need to have this stuff by our next call.
Yeah. Right. And I started with homework. I said homework, but then I was like, I'm a teacher. I'm going to move it to something different so they don't think I'm just like, and then I call them commitments because then I'm like, what are you committed to? What are you
Yeah,
committed to working on? But really working with a coach is like working with a partner. It's like someone on your team. Like I want what you want. Whatever you want, I want that for you. And I'm going to be walking alongside you. But really, what I'm going to do, and my job is to bring clarity, bring awareness, maybe shine a light on your blind spots, maybe things that you don't notice that are going on that are kind of stopping you. So, all that work around what's going on and what's been holding you back. But also, I think it's so important working with a coach that you feel like this person is a safe place for me to come. Like I can be myself fully and I can just share how I'm feeling. I mean, over time when I'm working with my clients, like we get very close and I hope that they get to the point where they can tell me anything and it's like, okay, bring it on. Let's talk about this. Let's move through this. Let's figure out how to get through this in a way that feels good to you. Not just let's just do all the busy to work to get you where you want to be, because you can do that anywhere. You can read a book, you can figure out action steps, but that's really not what works for people because there's all these other things in the way. And it's kind of like we got to weed through all that stuff. I don't know if you've ever heard the story of Michelangelo and when he was asked about the statue of David and how he created that. I love that story.
Yeah.
You know, someone asked him, how did you create the statue of David out of this piece of marble? And he's like, all I did was chip away everything that wasn't David. And I really kind of relate that to coaching. Like we're just chipping away these things that you've kind of piled on top of you over time, these beliefs, these doubts, these fears. We're just chipping that away so you can be your true, authentic self. And then from that place, you feel so good. And then you can move forward. You can take the steps that feel good. So I
Yeah,
think,
I always joke around with my coach. So I've had she's like my business slash life coach. I
love
have
it.
had her for almost 2 years. I
I
had
love
her
it.
like back when I had like my storefront. Um, and I always joke around with her that she's my paid BFF because because there's contracts and stuff. Like she's not allowed to talk about it's very much, and it's so funny because I've had people say, well, you're not a counselor. I'm like, nope, I'm super not. And if I
Right.
think you need to go to counseling, then
Yep.
I will be the first one to say, I think that maybe you need to go to counseling.
Yep.
Here's the difference. This is what I think. Tell me if you agree.
Yes.
So, my paid BFF, because that's what she is,
I love it.
I can tell her anything.
Yeah.
She helps me with business. But let's say that I'm having the worst day on the face of the planet, or I've had a really bad weekend, or whatever it is, because
Yeah.
45, yeah, I'm emotional as a whole.
Right.
I'm a whatever. I can download onto her
Yep.
all of it, and she doesn't try to dive in deeper than I need her to. She
Yeah.
literally just lets me
Yeah.
unleash it, unload it, be done with it. We do some breath work and all of that, and
Mhm.
then I can literally just let it go. That being said, I also
Yeah.
have counseling.
Yes.
but,
Yes.
but that's very different for me.
So different.
That is me trying to figure out why certain things happen,
Mhm.
why, and dig into things that I don't talk about with other people, and
Right.
that's something that I need some help with. So they're
Yeah.
very, very different. Personally,
Yeah.
I personally like my coach more than my
Yeah.
counselor, just because I feel like my counselor is very robotic.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yeah.
they're where my coach is literally my paid best friend. Like
Yeah.
it's like going to your best friend's house, you got into a fight with your sister or something, and you're like, listen to this.
Yeah.
And they will actually be like, oh,
Yeah.
really? Counselors don't do that.
Yeah.
They're like, how did that make you feel? I'm
Right.
telling you literally how it made me feel. Like, listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah. I love saying people ask me all the time what's the difference between like counseling and therapy versus coaching. And I'm like, I always say therapy is like archaeology and coaching is like architecture. So therapy, you're going to dig in deep, you're going to get to the root, you're going to go some traumas, all that stuff. So needed, so needed. But coaching, yes, you do touch on the past and you dig in certain places, but you really focus on the goals in the future, like an architect in your building. So I always use that example, but yes, I agree with your assessment of that because
Yeah.
there's a difference, but they're both needed. They're both
Yeah,
needed.
they're both needed
Yeah.
100% because I can download something that happened or that I have going on. And then she's actually really funny because she can tell my mood now,
Yeah.
right? Because 2 years, like you can tell
Yes. Oh,
my mood
yeah.
right now. And I'll tell you, I don't care. I am
Yeah.
very open book. I'm like, listen to this. But she'll say to me, so is today a business call or a personal call, or are we 50-50? So if it's 50-50, half of it, I get to
Yeah.
download. And then the other half, she's like, okay,
Yeah.
so where are we at with this?
Yeah.
And I'm like, perfect. And I do the same with my clients. If
Yeah.
they have something going on, I tend to, if I know they have something going on, I've checked in with them and they're having a horrible week. I allot a little bit of extra
Yeah.
time just in case they need to have the download for 20 minutes and
Yeah.
then the coaching call,
Yeah. And
right?
that's wise because sometimes we can't get right into coaching and get into the meat and potatoes and the heart of it and just go attack it when there's something else going on. So that's very wise to be like, okay, something's going on. Let's address it. Let's figure out how we can dive in here, maybe solve it or whatever, at least to get it out so we can do the other work. But that
Yeah.
seems like, a very wise way to do it because we can't just overlook that stuff.
Because there's nothing worse than you're in counseling. You're in your
Mm.
counseling, psychology, whatever session, and they're like, you're just getting there and you're just ready to say something. And they're like, okay.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's our hour, or the
Yeah.
little timer goes off, and I'm like, wow. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I just paid you $10 million to come. I literally put your kid through university, and like, you can't spend the extra 5 minutes
I
with,
know. Yeah.
right?
Very structured, very structured.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drives me crazy.
Yep.
That's why coaching's nice because you can go over.
Yep.
No, I'm not saying like hours and hours, but you can go over a little bit
Yeah.
if if need be.
There is a lot of flexibility in coaching.
Yeah.
You're right. I feel like that's the truth. I feel like there's a lot of flexibility. There's a lot of different ways that you can go, which is nice,
Yeah.
because
Well, because this isn't, and I'm not saying counselors and stuff don't want
yeah,
to see you succeed. I want to see you succeed. I
yeah,
want to be your biggest cheerleader. I want
that's
to
it.
see like, oh my
Yeah,
goodness, I am in it to win it with you,
yeah, yeah.
right?
Well, that's a
Yeah.
sign of a good coach. That cheerleader, that like I want to inspire you. I want to be your biggest fan, your biggest supporter. Let's go. Like
Yeah.
just knowing that you have someone on your team like that, because we can have other people in our lives that are cheerleaders, maybe our spouse or friends or whatever. But a coach is just like not never ending cheerleader. They're like
Yeah.
right with you the whole way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Even if you mess up on
yeah,
something, it's
mm,
like, okay, well, that was just a learning experience.
that's
So we're
right.
just going to go this way, and there's
Hmm.
still a win because
Yeah,
of this. It's easier. I think it's great because a coach can actually put that into perspective for you, where
yeah,
maybe your best friend
yeah.
or your spouse or whoever, they're like,
They
they
might,
don't know how to say it.
yeah,
And or they do it, they could literally say it the exact same way that the coach is going to say it, but because it
yeah.
came from that person,
That's so true.
yeah.
That's so true. Just like you tell your husband something, but if he hears it from somebody else, he'll do it.
Oh, but you know what's so crazy, and vice versa,
Right.
because he'll say to me when so when everything happened and I changed how I eat completely,
Yeah.
like completely, um, I lost very quickly. I lost 15 pounds just because I cut so much stuff out. I still eat that way. I'm the
Yeah.
same. Um, but he'd be like, "Oh, babe, you look great." Not that I didn't look great before, but he's like, "You
Yeah.
look great," or "Wow, you lost weight," or whatever
Yeah.
it is, and I'm like, "Okay, whatever." But then I
Mm.
would run into people and they were like, "Wow, you look great." And I'm like, "Thanks." And
Yeah.
he's literally standing there looking at me going, "Are you serious?" And I'm
Right.
like, "Yeah."
I know. I know.
He's just trying, and I feel bad. I'm like, "It's not you, babe. It's me. Don't worry."
Yeah.
I don't know. You
That's
never
right.
give it to me. You have to say it. He's like,
That's right.
"No, but I don't."
Aw. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, he's pretty funny. Okay, so where can everybody find you?
Yes. You can find me. My website is cindyrichardsoncoaching.com, and that's in my Instagram as well. So either one of those places are great to just reach out, book a free clarity call. It's just a conversation, like I said, to see where you are and see where you want to go. So it's pretty easy to get a hold of me.
That's amazing. I'm
Yeah.
so happy you came on today. I feel like we'll
Yeah.
probably do this again at some point.
I know. I
Yeah.
know. I feel a great connection. So I feel like
Good.
we're on the same wavelength as far as our beliefs and our styles and how we are as coaches.
Yeah, it's a good working relationship for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am just so grateful that you came on,
Yeah.
and
Thank you
I
so
will
much for
talk to you
having
very
me.
soon.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.